Not tonight, Carlos. I've got a headache. I'm Carlos, 34 years old, and I work as a shift supervisor at Hallard Design, a manufacturing firm based in Phoenix, Arizona. My wife Isabella had been saying that same sentence every night for 3 months. 3 months of brushing me off, sudden headaches, and excuses to sleep in the guest room. I stood in our bedroom doorway, watching her brush her hair in front of the vanity. She avoided making eye contact through the mirror. The woman I married 5 years back used to greet me with a hug when I got home. Now, she'd flinch if I so much as touched her arm. Isabella, we need to talk about what's going on. About what? She asked, putting the brush down too fast. Her hand was shaking. About us. About what's happening here. She turned to face me, and for a brief moment I saw something flash across her face. Fear maybe, or guilt. Then she smiled, that overly rehearsed smile she'd been using a lot lately. There's nothing going on, Carlos. I'm just exhausted from work. She worked downtown at Glenfield Electric as a receptionist. Same position for the past 2 years. Same hours, same routine. But all of a sudden, she came home worn out every single night. You've been tired for 3 straight months? I made an appointment with Dr. Martinez for next week. Maybe I'm low on vitamins or something. I nodded, though I felt a cold weight settle in my chest. The way she said it felt too perfect, like she had rehearsed that response in advance. That night I lay awake listening to her breathe. When did she start sleeping so deeply? When did she stop mumbling in her sleep? When had my own wife become a stranger to me? The next morning I found her in the bathroom at 6 a.m., hunched over the toilet. She didn't hear me walk in. Isabella? She jerked upright and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Carlos, you startled me. Are you feeling? Sick must have been something I ate. The Chinese food last night was probably off, but we'd both eaten it, and I felt fine. She brushed past me, already dressed for the day. I've got to head out early. A big meeting with a client. In our 5 years of marriage, I had never once heard her mention a specific client before. Glenfield Electric wasn't the type of company to have those kinds of meetings. I knew that. I'd even dropped off her forgotten lunch there once. Just office staff. No warehouse. No mystery departments. Later that morning, I stood in the kitchen, drinking from the world's best husband mug she'd given me on our 3rd anniversary. The words were faded now. The irony wasn't lost on me. Something wasn't right. My gut screamed it. But I needed proof before I acted. What I didn't realize then was just how far things had already gone. I met Isabella 6 years ago at my cousin Miguel's wedding. She was laughing at something my aunt had said, and the way her smile lit up her whole face, I knew I wanted. To know her better? We dated casually. Quiet evening Sedona drives, movie nights. She was 26, finishing her business degree and working part-time. Was 29, already established at Hallard Design. We got married at St. Augustine Cathedral in a small ceremony. Her parents came in from Tucson. My family filled the first 3 pews. She wore my grandmother's pearl necklace and cried through her vows. Our first 3 years were good. We bought the house on Maple Street with help from my dad, who worked construction all his life and believed in owning solid things. Isabella planted roses out front. I built her a shed in the back. We talked about kids eventually. She wanted to settle her career first. I respected that. We had time. But this year, something shifted. At first, it was subtle. She stopped asking about my day. No more lunchbox notes. Started working late 2 a week, then 3. When I suggested dinner at Romano's Hour, favorite Italian spot, she said she wasn't in the mood for anything heavy. I bought baseball tickets. She suddenly had a work thing. Victoria invited us for dinner. Isabella had plans with Sophia. The intimacy slipped away in pieces. First, she was just too tired, then too stressed. Eventually, she became too busy for anything at all. What's the goal? I asked her a couple weeks ago when she said she was planning for the future. Just things, Carlos. You wouldn't understand. That stung. She had never dismissed me like that before. I started noticing everything. Her phone stayed face down. Her work schedule became unpredictable. Wardrobe suddenly more expensive than what a receptionist should afford. Last Wednesday, She came home smelling like Colin, not mine. I had to share an elevator with David from the warehouse, she said. But Glenfield didn't have a warehouse. That night she went back to the guest room, claiming her tossing would wake me. I realized then I didn't know who she was anymore. The woman in my house was a stranger. The only question was, who had she become? The answer came one Thursday afternoon in early October. I was going through our filing cabinet looking for the refrigerator warranty when I found a receipt. It was folded small and hidden behind our insurance paperwork. Planned Parenthood Phoenix branch, dated 6 weeks ago. Act pregnancy test and consultation. Positive result, handwritten in the margin. 6 weeks ago, the same time she stopped. Letting me touch her, I sat down on our bed, the paper trembling in my hand. Morning sickness, avoiding wine. Her arms shielding her stomach when she hugged me. My wife was pregnant, and we hadn't been intimate in months. The math was simple and it hurt. She was carrying another man's baby. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything, sat with it, letting it break me slowly. The betrayal ran deep. She had planned to raise this child as mine. That night, she came home with takeout, pretending nothing had changed. Suggested we watch a movie. How was your day? She asked, curling beside me. Fine, yours. Busy. Dr. Martinez wants to run a few tests. Routine stuff. I nodded and smiled, but inside I was already planning. She thought I was oblivious. She thought wrong. Over the next several days, I paid close attention to how she held her stomach when she thought I wasn't watching, to how she passed on coffee every morning, to how she dodged every opportunity for physical closeness. She was stalling, buying time until the moment she'd surprise me with her big news. I decided to let her play it out, while I readied a surprise of my own. This was no longer a marriage. It was a game. And Isabella didn't realize I was already 3 steps ahead. 2 weeks after discovering the receipt, I made my first calculated move. Isabella, I said over Saturday breakfast. Been thinking about what you said about starting a family. She looked up from her plate, fork still in midair. What about it? Maybe we shouldn't wait. Maybe now is the time. Her face drained of color. She set her fork down carefully. Now, Carlos, I thought we agreed to wait until I get that. Promotion? What promotion? I asked. You've never mentioned one? She started fiddling with her napkin. Well, it's not official yet. But Mr. Johnson hinted there might be an opening in management soon. Another lie. The day before I'd called Glenfield Electric, pretending to be a vendor. There was no Mr. Johnson. The whole company had 12 employees, and I knew all their names. How long do you think it'll take? I asked. I don't know, she said. Maybe 6 months. Maybe longer. 6 months. At around when her pregnancy would be impossible to miss. I still think we should start now, I pressed. We're not getting any younger. Pushed back from the table, the chair screeching on the tile. I need a shower. Sophia and I have planned shopping. What time will you be home? I'm not sure. Late. After she left, I sat in my truck, engine off, staring through the windshield. Then I drove downtown to the public library. On a public computer, I looked up private investigators, divorce attorneys, and prenatal DNA testing. I dotted notes on. A legal pad, each word neat and deliberate. By the time she returned home that evening, smiling and holding shopping bags, I had a solid plan. How was shopping? I asked. Good. Sophia helped me pick out some work clothes. She pulled out a bag from Target, 3 loose blouses and pants with an elastic waistband. Maternity. We're disguised as business casual. They look nice, I told her that night. She slept in our bed again for the first time in weeks. She even let me hold her, though she stiffened when my hand touched her belly. Carlos, she whispered. Yeah. Do you ever think about what our life will look like down the road? All the time, I said. What do you see? Silent for a moment. I see trust, I said. 2 people who are honest with each other. She didn't reply. That Monday, I took a half-day off work and went downtown. I met with Patricia Hoffman, a family law attorney in her 50s. Her calm eyes suggested she'd seen betrayals like mine before. I need to understand my options, I said. She listened patiently as I laid it all out. The pregnancy, the lies, the timeline. "Do you want to save the marriage?" she asked. "I want the truth first. Then get a DNA test. But do it smart. Don't let her catch on. It's not until you have proof." "What about timing?" I asked. "If she's 6 weeks along, a non-invasive prenatal DNA test can be done at 9 weeks. Just a blood draw." Never know unless she checks the records closely. She handed me pamphlets, legal documents, and her card. I left her office prepared. That night, Isabella was unusually sweet. She made my favorite dinner, beef stew and cornbread. She asked about my day, listened, smiled. "I love you, Carlos," she said, while we did dishes. "I love you too." It was true. I made it harder. I still loved the woman I married. But that woman may have never existed. 3 days later, Isabella told me she was going to visit her sister Elena in Tucson for the weekend. Said Elena's marriage was falling apart. Isabella doesn't have a sister named Elena, just Patricia, who lives in Sacramento and has been happily married for years. "How long will you be gone?" "I'll drive there in the morning, come back by evening." I nodded like I believed her. That Saturday, I followed her. It felt surreal, like I was in one of those crime dramas she used to watch. 3 cars behind her on the freeway. Sunglasses, hat pulled low. Amateur detective. She didn't drive to Tucson. She stopped in Tempe. Parked outside a 1-story home on Elm Street, a tall man with dark hair and a gym-toned build came out to greet her. He kissed her in the driveway like he'd been waiting all week. I parked across the street and snapped photos with my phone, his license plate, the house number, her car. Then I watched them go inside. 2 hours later, I drove home. That evening, I looked up the address. The house belonged to James Rodriguez, 36, a contractor with Morrison Construction. No spouse listed. No kids. Isabella returned Sunday night carrying outlet shopping bags and stories about Elena's troubles. She might try counseling, she said, pulling out a scarf. I told her it could help. "Did you tell her about us?" I asked. "About the baby?" She paused. No, it didn't feel like the right moment. The next morning, I called in sick and drove back to Elm Street. Parked across from the house and waited. At 7:30 a.m., James left for work. I followed him to a coffee shop on University, got in line behind him, and overheard pieces of his phone call. She told her husband they're trying now. A couple more weeks and she'll be able to tell him. My coffee went untouched. That afternoon, I booked 2 appointments. One with Robert Kane, a pie who specialized in cheating spouses. The other with a DNA lab offering discrete testing. "How quickly can I get results?" asked the technician. 48 hours after we get the samples, she said. "Yes, it can be done without the mother knowing, if you're legally the husband. But I didn't have the baby's DNA. Not yet. I needed another angle.